It's not springtime until you've had some stuffed artichoke. Welcome to Actually Italian. I'm Sal, and I've been living in Italy for years now. I'm really excited to teach you some authentic recipes so you can cook like an actual Italian would. Artichokes are one of my favorite springtime vegetables. There's really nothing else like it. And stuffed artichokes are a classic recipe that a lot of people have had in their lives. This recipe in particular, though, probably not a lot of people are familiar with. Because Italian food is so regional, every region has its own way to do things. I grew up with the Sicilian way with baked stuffed artichokes. This is a Calabrese recipe from Calabria where they kind of steam it, stuff it and steam it, and in my opinion, it's a much, much better way to cook artichoke. I've always found that when I do baked stuffed artichokes, that the leaves can get a little bit dried out, and it's a little tough getting that meat when you scrape the leaf. Because it's steamed, it doesn't get all dried out, and you can actually eat more of the artichoke this way. It also is much juicier, and you get all of that flavor in every bite. All right, I'm really excited to show you this recipe because it is unique, so let's get started. I want to start with the stuffing first because I want it ready to go as soon as I'm done prepping the artichokes. I have fresh breadcrumbs here made from fresh bread that was just stale that I've grated up. You can use store-bought breadcrumbs if you want, but try to stay away from the Italian seasoned breadcrumbs. In the description box below, I've got a link to a printable recipe that has all the measurements and everything that you need for the recipe. We'll start with some fresh parsley. Parsley and artichokes are perfect together. In fact, when I go to the market, the local market, and buy artichokes, they always throw in a bunch of parsley with it for free because it's a given that I'm gonna need it. I'm also gonna add some chopped olives, some grated cheese. In this case, it's grated parmesan. You could easily use pecorino if you wanted. And I've toasted some pine nuts to put in here as well. I've got just a little bit of vinegar. You could use lemon juice too. You do need a little bit of acid in there to kind of cut through the richness of everything. And a beaten egg. I'm gonna mix this all together, and I'm gonna keep an eye out to see how it comes together, because I might need to add some olive oil if it's not quite wet enough to be able to form. So this looks a little bit dry. I need to add some olive oil. Once I get it mixed up, I want to see if it comes together, so I just need to kind of squeeze it in my hand. If it holds its shape, it's ready to go. This means it's not going to fall apart while we cook it. I'm all prepared to get started. First, I need some gloves because there are a lot of tannins in artichoke, and when you're working on them, your hands tend to get all black and it's hard to wash off. We also need some water with some acid in it, lemon juice, vinegar. I've got a kind of a very sharp, almost like paring knife that I'm gonna use for a couple of the operations here. A serrated knife, because this is really hard to cut through. Even with the sharp knife, it's difficult and you could easily cut yourself. A serrated knife is gonna do the job a lot easier and a lot faster. Then I've got a spoon, because we're gonna be scooping out the middle of this. The first thing we're gonna do is cut the stem off. This is still really good. We're gonna actually use this to eat. These outer leaves, pretty much dried out. These leaves are not very edible, so we're gonna take all these outer leaves off first. This bottom here, all of this green, that's gonna be tough, and it's not going to be edible. And the point of the preparation that we're doing today, where we're going to cook it in water, we're going to be able to eat most of this. So we want to get rid of this so that way we can eat all around it. So I'm just going to use this very sharp knife to go around and take all that dark green bit off. And you'll see some of how it's like kind of pale green there. So we can eat this. Go around like that. I'm going to even this out because we want it to stand. This I'm going to throw in the water here because that's going to go inside after. The next phase is to start really cleaning this up and get all of these tops off. I'm going to cut about 1/3 of the way down from the top, 2/3 up from the bottom. There, now we've got the center pretty well exposed there. I want to expose all those layers and be able to get into that center. I'm really pulling this with a good amount of force. You can see how it's starting to open up there. Because we want to be able to get the filling, the stuffing inside a little bit. It's also going to make it easier to steam. The water is going to be able to get in there and cook this whole thing. This middle, that's what we want to get rid of. I'm going to go in with the spoon and just literally scoop it out. There, I can just pull it right out. These leaves in the middle here are very tender. We'll be able to eat those completely. This is done. I'm going to throw it into the water now. Make sure it's covered. That way it doesn't get black. It is going to still get a little black. That's why we wanted the stuffing to be done ahead of time. So this end here where it was cut, we don't want that. We'll cut it in half, and we'll just, where it's pale, we're just going to take the knife and just go right down through it. And you can see the difference there. So that we want to keep, and all this fibrous area we want gone. This is what's left of the center. You can see it's already getting dark. We want to get this in the water now. Well, we've got these all ready to go, so I'm going to start filling them. The first thing I want to do is take that stem and cut it into little pieces and just put it right in the middle. You don't want to waste that. So that's going to go right inside there. Now the first thing I'm going to do is take some of the stuffing and put it right in the middle there. I want to lightly press it down. I don't want it super packed because I want it to cook evenly, but I also don't want it to be too loose. So just kind of press it in there. I also should mention too that I haven't put any salt in this filling, in the stuffing, because the water when we cook this is going to be salted. Now, this is kind of the tricky part. We want to start separating some of the leaves there and get this stuffed into those sections. Not easy to do this. So you have to be patient and take your time. You can see it expanding now though. It's going to be like twice the size once we get all of this kind of filled there. I've got it as filled basically as I can get it, so I just want to give it a little squish there and get it nice and uniform and kind of compact on the top. And this is ready to go. I'm going to finish the other ones and then we're going to get ready to cook them. I'm going to cook these artichokes in a non-stick wok because I want the high sides, so when I put the water in, it really covers the artichokes. And I also don't want the filling to get stuck when I cook it on the bottom. Just a little bit of olive oil in the pan. We'll get it heated over a medium-high heat. And then put the stuffing side down to get it started. Once that stuffing is basically seared and started to cook, we can flip these over now, add some water, fill it to about 3/4 up the side of the artichoke, add some salt, and then cover it. These will take about 20 minutes now, basically until they're tender. It's been a little over 20 minutes, so we're going to check to make sure they're cooked through. With the sharp knife, we just want to poke them. If it goes all the way through really smoothly without any resistance, then you know that it's cooked. The hardest part is going to be the heart, so that's what we want to check. These are cooked through, so I'm going to take them out now, and off the heat, I'll add some good olive oil. The olive oil is going to give it a nice freshness, and we can use this broth now as like a seasoning. You can see there's a lot of stuffing in this. Let's start with the leaves. What you do is you just peel off each leaf, and the bottom here, that's the edible part. So we have to scrape it off to eat it. That's good. This was my favorite part of eating artichokes when I was a kid. Because this wasn't baked, it's not dried out, it's not tough to eat, it's not fibrous. It has a sweetness to it, and I can really taste that artichoke flavor. Now let's try the stuffing. That stuffing is just so good. The pine nuts give it a creaminess. The olives give that nice salty bite. There's that little bit of vinegar in there that kind of brightens things up. I wish I had put some garlic in though. That's kind of the only thing missing. Is this the best stuffed artichoke recipe then? Let me know in the comments below what you think. Especially if you've had stuffed artichoke before, baked stuffed one. you'll definitely see a difference. Well, that's all for now. We'll see you in the next video.